Hello and welcome to Connect to Love here on PRN-FM, where each week is an unscripted exploration to the many facets of our connection to love, oneness, and the human spirit. I'm LeRose, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Michael J. Russ. I want to check in with you and find out what amazing things are unfolding for you in your corner of the world.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here, as always. My corner of the world is just sunny, breezy, just loving it. Probably a great day to go to the beach, except for the fact that the sand might be blowing around a little bit, but I'm just enjoying the time of year. That's what I'm enjoying. More than anything else, the time of year. Fantastic. So happy to be here because it's a show day where we get to talk about another cool topic that involves us all and get to shed a little light on the subject matter.
I love the way you described it as a cool topic. It's what I think we all long for and sometimes take for granted. And it's something that I believe that each one of us cannot live without, and that's friendship. Because when you think about it, friendship is this invitation to a much larger life, a life filled with love and laughter and conversation, and it's truly nourishment for the soul. And as you know, Michael, I have been re-listening to many of our past episodes, and I'm rediscovering so many wonderful things that we've spoken about. And one of those things was the idea of an anam, cara. It is such a beautiful Celtic term. It means soul friend, an anam meaning soul and cara meaning friend. What I find so beautiful is that an anam cara is someone who doesn't just know you, they truly recognize your soul. They see you. And I believe that that's what a true friend is. A true friend has this magical ability to turn our vulnerabilities into strength. They make us feel so much larger than we knew we could be. They help us believe that we can go places we never thought possible because we feel their support. They believe in us. And I think that they hold the light for us in all that we do. And so when I was thinking about this, I started tuning into lots of different things. And when I did, my mind started to wander, and I began to explore a myriad of different and fascinating things. And one of the things I discovered was that Aristotle devoted an entire chapter in his Ethics to friendship. He grounded it in goodness and beauty and wrote, "A friend is someone who wishes good for others. Friendship sweetens our lives." And I do believe that friendship is one of the things that makes our life sweeter, that it's one of the greatest gifts to be able to develop deep connections and help each other grow. One of the other things that he wrote, which is so much in alignment with what you and I have been speaking about over the last few episodes, which is worthiness and self-worth. He wrote, "Our feelings towards our friends reflects our feelings towards ourselves." And I think you cannot be a true anam cara to another person if you are a stranger to yourself. I have always believed that we are mirrors for each other, and that's what makes a friend so special. I don't think that it's accidental. I think that the way we love, the way we trust, the way we allow ourselves to be seen in those very intimate friendships, it's all revealed. And that is how, as human beings, we start to feel loved. I mean, when we have friends, sometimes we're very vulnerable when we make a new friend. I don't know, Michael, if you've ever noticed that when you're with a true friend, your world just sort of expands. There's places that you may have thought were too scary to go alone, but because you have somebody by your side, you're able to expand and those things become reachable. That soul friend takes you to where your vulnerabilities are, all those parts of you, and sort of holds the space to allow you to navigate through life until those weaknesses become your strength. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about this, and I'm very much eager to explore what friendship means to you and if you, in fact, have had an anam cara in your life.
I've had many. No, usually I like to say there's a core handful of people that I can say in my lifetime, which really began I guess in Turkey. I just came back from New York, seeing a friend that I met in 1970 that I reconnected with and on a deeper level. He's an amazing guy. I helped him start a business and then exited out of that business a few years ago. And because I saw what his passion was, and I was able to help him realize his passion. And I can't tell you how absolutely joyful and that feeling is. It's really to help someone move themselves forward in a way that it helps them realize the livelihood that they were meant to have. And we sit back and we hug and we tell each other how much we love each other and as friends and talk and I help him through challenges that he has in his life, relationship, business, people, personally. We talk on a level, and there's no judgment. We know there's no judgment. He knows there's no judgment, and it's just a space. It's a relationship that's likely one of maybe two or three I have right now in my life. But generally, throughout our lives, we have about a handful of people that we have that kind of relationship with. We may not tell them that we love them and care about them and give them hugs and things of that nature because we're growing, they're growing, everybody's expanding and transforming. However, where I am in life right about now, as three of my closest friends have passed on, high school friends, best friends from high school, best friend from the early 80s, gone. They've exited this plane and moved on. Their roles were finished in my life, and their role in their own life, what they were doing, what they were here for, was over. And so we're not in control of how someone exits this earthly plane. We think we are. We wish we would be, but that's not really something we can control. However, in where I am right now in my life, I've understood more than once how amazing it is and how invaluable it is to recognize those people. We have a fondness for the people who are our soul friends. I love that term, by the way. It's really wonderful because it really plays into what my views on friendship is. We have people who we agree in advance before we incarnate to be in our play. Them in our play, we in their play. We all have a mission somehow. There's this major synchronicity that goes on, an intelligence greater than anything I could ever imagine that kind of pulls us together, and we go through life and we experience those things that you were just talking about together, right? We expand together. When they have trials and tribulations, you're a part of it. You're a part of theirs. They're a part of yours. And that's the whole idea. The whole idea is, as a soul friend, is for you each to evolve and transform with each other's assistance. And again, without judgment, there's just nothing but love there. And hopefully, by the end of their life and the end of your life, they've helped you and you've helped them move forward and evolve as a soul in a way that no one else on the planet could, because they're a soul friend, right? And so it's interesting that I told you this story a little bit before about a friend of mine, that friend from high school who passed on, how we were big friends in high school. I went off and did some things. He went off and did some things. We came together about, I'd say, 25 years later, 30 years later. I went back to California, and we got together, and we reignited our friendship. He came out to visit me here in Florida, which was really wonderful. And then he went back, and the girl he had come out here with, who he thought he was going to marry, that fell apart when he got back home. We talked. He moved through it, and it's a joy to have that kind of relationship with someone. And I was able to help him in the last 15 years of his life, basically, to achieve his mission. And my role was really minor. It was all on him. He wanted to experience love through deep pain, which I can't say I would have chosen. However, he was somebody who had a zest for life. He had a big smile on his face. He had a lot of light. He walked into a room, you knew he was there. And people say that about me now, but I said it about him. That was something that was amazing. And my joy was being able to, after he had had a brain tumor and had radiation and stuff like that, to be able to go to our high school reunion. He said, no, I'm not going to go. He was slightly disfigured because of the radiation, and he had some problems. And I said, look, I want you to put on your best suit. I'm flying back to California. I'm arranging this all. I'll pick you up. We're going to this thing. I said, no, I don't even want no for an answer. There are people there that have asked about you, and you know they love you because this guy was the high school basketball star. Everybody loved him. And so I said, we're going. And we closed the place out. We literally, everybody was around him, loving on him. It was a teary-eyed moment to see how wonderful, how the impression was he had made on people who hadn't seen him in decades. And he died, I think, within a couple weeks after that particular event. He passed on. And I think of it fondly because I had the opportunity to be with someone who had chosen that path, to experience that extreme pain and still be a loving person through all of that. And it was something else. Most people would look at what he had to go through and they'd go, oh, that'd just be crazy, be angry about it or be fearful of it or whatever. He faced it with love and compassion for himself and for everybody around him. Always had a smile on his face no matter what. You think about the soul friends that you have. I mean, we have listeners from all over the world. And what I love about the show is that we can encourage the people who listen to think of those people, those handful of people, there may be one or two or three people that you've really connected with in your life, that you've really energetically resonated with, and they with you. And you had a deep connection. You helped yourself through a certain part of your life, and then you've kind of fallen away from them, and they've gone on, and they've done some things, and you've gone on, and you've done some things, had experiences, developed all this experiential wisdom, and maybe perhaps you're thinking about them, and I can guarantee you that wherever they are, they're thinking about you too. Pick up the phone, find them, and reconnect with them. You never can tell, frankly, when your reconnection with them, the timing of that would be absolutely perfect. I do believe that if you're thinking about someone, that you should connect with them because it's likely, because of the way frequencies operate and work, no time and space, that they're thinking about you too. And there are people who are extremely important in our lives that we disconnected from. And maybe this is the time of their life. They've changed, you've changed, you've come back together, and there's a way that you are supposed to help each other because you're thinking about each other. I never let those little connections, those little thoughts go because we have cell phones and digital communications. We can connect with somebody absolutely immediately. And when I do, any of the friends I have around the country, that handful of soul friends that I have, if I think about them, I immediately call them. And guess what? Oh, I was just thinking about you. We need to get together. The last one I did with that, he flew out about 2 months later, and we played golf for 3 or 4 days. And I'm going to go visit him in Austin, Texas, and do the same. And he's somebody that, again, you just pick up the phone and say, I love you, man. I love you. And he said, I love you too. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. And that's the kind of soul friendship that is so precious, so golden. It's like treasure. And we don't want to take it for granted. We want to be grateful for it and continue to nurture it.
I completely agree with you. And I love that you shared the story about your friend who passed from the brain tumor because you were his strength. And I'm sure many times in your life, he was your strength. And I think that when we have a friendship like that, we all have the ability to stand there and be the pillar of strength or be there just to laugh or a shoulder to cry on no matter what. I think about so many of my dear friends, and again, re-listening to many of the episodes, Scott Robinson, who we had on the show several times. He would pick up the phone and he would say, hey, girl, tell me everything. We may not have talked for months, but it seemed as though no time had passed. Although he's on the other side now, I still very much feel his presence. And there's so many individuals who I felt their presence, and then they became very dear friends. One of my friends is an artist, and we were in a community event, and I was dropping off a piece of art that I had created, and he was dropping off a piece of art. And this is before I knew him. He was in line, and I could feel him, and I felt like I knew him for eons, that he was my soul brother. And there was no logical explanation. I could just feel his beingness. And I asked him if I could see his painting. He showed it to me, asked me about mine, and it was something that was not really a traditional painting for me. And he knew exactly what it was. He said, "Oh, my goodness." And he went into all of the geometries and all the other things. I thought, "Oh, my goodness, this is more than a connection." And I ended up bidding on his painting because I wanted to connect with him and stay connected. And we have been friends for over 10 years. And he recently did a portrait of me as a special gift, and he painted me as an angel with all of these animals around me. And it just touched my heart because he sees me, he knows all of my idiosyncrasies, all the little things that make me unique. And he put it all into a work of art, and it was very interesting to be seen by him in that way. I've seen him paint a lot of other friends of ours. Now, he's a musician, and he does stained glass. He does all these wonderful things, but we can sit and chat for hours, and he listens to the show. He shares the love with other people and really takes things into heart. And I appreciate his presence and the fact that we can share lots of different things. And although we may not always be in the same perspective, he allows me to be seen and allows it to be open. And I think that when we have any friend, to allow ourselves to be known, it is part of the courage of being seen, that when we allow others to see us and to know our hearts, there is some vulnerability in there, but you can take any tenderness that you have in your heart and unfold it and share it with a friend without any judgment. I just think that that's a really wonderful way to be.
That's wonderful. That is such an amazing. I'd love to see that work of art sometime. You have to send me a picture. I think somebody who can capture you in that way is truly special. It takes a special kind of soul to be able to connect with someone through art, through their artistic impression. It's fabulous. Their vulnerability is it. In my view, vulnerability is one of the keys. I was listening to someone the other day, a doctor who does a lot of talking on Next Level Soul, and he was talking about the people, when we meet someone, we've got this heightened sense of awareness with them, and there's we look for all those commonalities, and we experience all of those. And it made me think of the fact that there are soul friends, too, that we have brief encounters with. They're not lifelong encounters. We have brief encounters with people who are also soul friends, yet not meant to be long-term friends. Just
so true.
People we could, for maybe it could be a week, a month, a year. It might be a couple years, 3 or 5, 4 years, whatever. We serve a loving purpose in each other's life, and it could be somebody who comes into your life at a time when you're a bit off. Something's happening. Something challenging is occurring in your life with you, and this particular person is there for you and understands, and there's love, there's compassion, there's empathy, and then one reason or another, you come through it, you move through your challenge, and they have something else that they want to do, and they go do it, or something else they're meant to do. And these aren't things that we can control. We don't have any control of our external world anyway. However, the loving thing about it is recognizing these people, recognizing the soul friends that enter our lives, that give us such joy and love. Their presence and their light is so just bright, and they help us move forward. And then if they choose to move in a different direction, we have to accept that and understand that there's no condition behind love. We don't fear them not being here. That we're not meant to fear them not being here. We're not meant to fall out of love with them, so to speak, because that would mean judgment is involved, and love wasn't real in the first place. Fear and judgment are the antithesis of love. So because the show is Connect to Love, when we connect with soul friends for any period of time, love is generally the operative element in the connection, and it manifests in so many different ways, in the love, in the compassion, in the empathy that we have for ourselves and for them. I know somebody who actually they had somebody come into their lives just to help them, and ended up helping them understand that loving themselves was the most important thing. Loving themselves, that was what was important, right? So they helped them find that love for themselves, and then they kind of drifted off and drifted away. And you look fondly upon people the souls who are gifted and play that role in our lives. You really do.
Right. And I always have heard a reason, a season, a lifetime. And sometimes people come into our life and it's just for a short moment, as you said. They're here for a reason. And then they may be here for a season of life. They may be here for a year and then move out of the city, and you might not hear from them for maybe 2 or 3 years, and then they'll come back in. And then oftentimes people are in your life for forever, it seems, and beyond this world. And I think it's really important because we do live in a world of instant connection. And you join somebody, they become your friend on social media. And I think that sometimes it's important to know and to use discernment in recognizing that somebody may not be completely aligned with you. And it does take a little bit of time to get to know people. I have gotten to know some wonderful friends through social media and also through other avenues. And as you were speaking, Michael, I just want to say, I was reflecting back on when I first met you, which I believe you were a guest, either I was a guest on your show or you were a guest on my show with Glenn Brooks. And then we may have connected 1 or 2 times, and then when I did my summit, I reached out and I asked if you would be a part of that, and we got to know each other, and then I continued on. We didn't speak for a while after that, and then when you reached out to me and asked if I would join you on an episode of your podcast, which was really wonderful, and something kept bringing us back together. And then after Glenn passed away and I had an opportunity to invite you to join me on Connect to Love, and you said yes. And I think back and how many episodes that we've done and how many wonderful conversations we've had. And although I have not still met you in person, I hold you so dear into my heart. You are truly a soul friend. And I think that it's no time, no space, no matter. It doesn't matter. Right. Our hearts are truly connected. And it's a beautiful gift in my life, and I'm always very grateful. I always feel very blessed. So thank you.
I'm so appreciative. Thank you for that. That was wonderful. And it's true. Glenn Brooks was the catalyst for the many years that we've been doing this show. I think it's 3.5 or something that we've been doing this show, or almost 4. But he was the catalyst. And Glenn was an interesting person, and one that I spent many days, a long time speaking to every single day. We would have these conversations for an hour or an hour and a half as I was walking out on the trails. We would talk and we'd have these spirited conversations. And I start to think of this. I think of this all the time. But what if the reason that Glenn Brooks, one of the reasons that his soul came into this dimension was to make sure that we got together in this show. I mean, think about it. I mean, the amount of synchronicities that have to occur in order for that to happen. But I think that way. When I meet someone, I'm going like, why did I meet this person? What can I learn from this person? You know, what is the purpose behind our connection? The loving purpose. And I hold that intention in terms of a question. What is that? What is it? And I don't dwell on it. It's just I ask that question of myself, and then I just forget about it. And at some particular point, it reveals itself. Mm-hmm. And you never know why you have a soul friend. And the fact that we've never met each other is kind of the story of my life. In one of the other businesses I have clients I've never met for 40 years. Never met them in person. They don't even know what I look like. They just know that we connect, and we connect on a level that is real. I like to be very authentic and real. I'm not here to play games or be somebody that I'm not. And we all have to learn that authenticity. We're not here to make people like us because they remind us of themselves, or we're some sort of avatar for what they see as a friend. And the other part of it, too, is that I don't, in my view, feel as if we're here to go out and seek friendship. It happens. It all gets back to how we take care of ourselves. Do we see ourselves as a friend? Are we a friend to ourselves? How many people can answer that question with a really honest answer? Are you a friend to yourself? Are you your own soul friend? Yeah, that might take a little thought process. Because if you can answer yes to that question, and then you can continue to act upon it, the amazing things that would occur from that would blossom from you being a soul friend to yourself in terms of resonating that energy out into the world, the universe, consciousness, whatever you want to call it. The fact that you're basically generating your own light, which is what you're supposed to do anyway. Generate your own light and then share that light with others. The people that you could attract towards you, that you would attract towards you, that are also in search of what you are experiencing yourself. You become the example. And I love that. Being authentic in everything that you do, being honest, having, moral character and an understanding of what technically the duality of right and wrong, understanding the contrast between right and wrong really more than anything else. I've always liked to go on feelings, and I've encouraged the people I'm most closest to when they ask me questions about should I or shouldn't do it, just go on your feelings. Let your feelings. We talked about this last week, with Carol.
Right.
Your feelings.
With Carol, sure. Absolutely.
Your feelings are the litmus test always for everything. If you have to ask yourself whether this person is a friend, you're not listening to yourself. You're coming from your mind, coming from your head. And friendship exists on many levels. Not always this deep, loving, abiding friendship. Sometimes it's just a casual friendship where you have a respect for each other and you allow each other to be who you are, which
That's
is
true.
Yeah, that again can be so powerful and empowering when you connect with someone and you let them be. You're not trying to change them. You're not trying to get them to be like you or get them to be like somebody else. You're just allowing them to be who they are. And in this day and age, there's a lot of people that are really disconnected from their authenticity, the essence of who they are. We talk about it on the show. I talk about it on my podcast. We hear it bantered around, authenticity. Well, what does it really, really mean? It's very, very simple, yet to some people it's incredibly complex. It's being the essence of who you are, love and compassion and empathy, guided toward yourself, respect, dignity, forgiveness. It's all these wonderful high frequencies wrapped in an unconditional loving blanket, put it that way, an unconditional loving blanket. Why is it so challenging? Why is it so challenging to be unconditionally loving toward others? You ever think about that sometimes?
Well, I think it goes back to what Aristotle said, that our feelings towards our friends reflects our feelings towards ourselves. So if we do not feel unconditional love for ourselves, I think that's exactly where that stems from. And I believe that that's what is really the quiet genius in friendship. A true friend does not shrink your world. They expand it. They remind you of the possibilities that you forgot that you were, of all of the things. They see you. And when you are with them, things change. I think a lot of what we see on television, I've watched a couple different shows. I don't really have much time for TV, but oftentimes I see how friendships, especially with women, are portrayed, that you have to dress like each other, and there's manipulation in friendships, and I think it comes from the soap operas or what people want to see. I don't know if they want to see that as entertainment so that they feel better about themselves, but to me that's not friendship. Friendship allows you to be seen, to be who you are exactly as you are. So if you want to wear crazy pants like me, I like to express myself. I will never wear prints up near my face, but I love wild pants. And my friends know that that's me. That's who I am. And that sometimes I like to wear vintage clothes from the 60s, and I have a pair of go-go boots, and I never know what to expect with me when I'm going out somewhere. I mean, sometimes I'm just conservative, but they accept me as I am. And they love me for who I am, for all of my gifts and blessings, and for anything that might be perceived as a flaw, quote-unquote flaw. And I think that when
no flaws.
Right, I understand. But if they see I think they see my authenticity of me being who I am. And I appreciate them for who they are as well. It's that unconditional love. And you always get excited when you see your friend's name come up on your caller ID. What do they have to say? And I love that you brought up those conversations with Glenn Brooks, because he was very unique. He always made the time. And I was on a lot of those long conversations. Sometimes I wondered how he got anything done in the day. But Glenn had a beautiful way of asking you questions that kind of gave you gentle nudges to be a better person that you were before you started the conversation. And I really appreciated that about him. And I saved a lot of voicemail messages from Glenn Brooks, and I still have them on my phone, and I'll listen to them, because he was always really good at asking you to recognize your own gifts and to see what in you was of value. I really appreciate it. It was a wonderful gift he had.
It's absolutely true on all points there. One of the interesting conversations that we always used to have was rooted in his insistence that one person in a relationship could change the relationship. We think about this now, and I played devil's advocate many times with him on this one. However, it is really true, and I've come to understand over time that it's because the longer we're in a relationship with someone, the more perceptions we have about them, preconceived, solidified perceptions we have about them, preconceived ideas. We think we know them, and the person we actually know is the person that we met. We sometimes don't pay attention to the person they become. We want to keep them in this little box of the person that we met originally, a decade, 2, 3, 4 ago. But no, they're not that person. They're somebody completely different. So if it's a relationship that you have with your significant other or your spouse, and literally I do call my girlfriend my soul friend. I would easily call her my soul friend because we talk about everything together. We don't keep secrets, and we connect in a way that is authentic, put it that way, and loving. And we have conversations about things, about what we enjoy a lot. And in my view, your relationship should be that way. However, in every relationship, and even this one that I'm in now, you have this tendency when someone says, hey, why don't we go do this? And you're going like, well, I don't know. She'd never want to do that. She's never wanted to do that in the past. I don't know. Maybe we should shy away from that. Instead of asking them to see if their views on that have changed, we kind of think to ourselves, oh, they've never done that in the past. I don't know why they would want to do it now. However, to be authentic and to be a soul friend, you must let them make their own decision about whatever it is. You bring it up, right? So somebody asks today if we want to go see the Monty Python skit in that currently escapes me, in New Orleans in June. A friend of hers.
Spam-A-Lot, you told me.
Spam-A-Lot, that's right. Spam-A-Lot. I love that program. I haven't seen it in a number of years or decades. But she waited to give them an answer until she spoke with me. Is that something you would like to go do? She didn't, I'm up for anything. She could have said, yeah, we're on. June 2nd, I don't think he's doing anything. We know we're not going out of town. Yeah, let's do that. But no, she didn't. She said, I'll speak with Michael and I'll be back to you. And she said, I didn't tell them because I didn't know whether you wanted to or not. And this is 24 years later in a relationship, and to me, it's so loving and so wonderful, so caring to be able to actually know that someone may or may not want to do something, even though in the past they might have said no, they might want to do it now. To maybe say, let them make up their own mind. We have a tendency to do this when we know somebody really, really, really well. We think we know them really well, but interestingly enough, soul friends do change because we all evolve. I keep telling people, you're not the same person you were last week because you've learned so much more. As soon as you listen to one of these radio shows of ours, and if you listen to this show or you listen to the podcast, Connect to Love, as soon as you become aware of the idea of a soul friend, you're never going to be unaware of it. You're going to be thinking in the future, is this person a soul friend of mine? How do I, it's not I guess it's not so much about labels, but you really, I guess you get into asking yourself that question, who are my soul friends? You write them down, who you think they are, and you allow plenty of blank space for new ones, because some are going to come and some are going to go. New ones come, old ones go. And instead of thinking, oh, why is this person no longer connecting with me? Is there something wrong with me? Which is generally the tendency. What did we do? What did I do? Right? It may be just that they're no longer resonating with what we're putting out, and vice versa, which is not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. When someone leaves your life, someone generally comes in that replaces it, who replaces them because they're resonating at the frequency you're resonating. Their focus, their attention, their thought are aligned with yours in that moment, and it's truly wonderful. I'll tell you, this is an interesting thing. Wherever we go to these restaurants, and at least after the first time we meet the manager, because we love to meet the person that's running the show, or the maitre d' or whoever it might be there. And the second time we go, they're giving us their business card with a cell phone number. Call me, text me if you need something. So we never make a reservation for anything anymore. I just send a text. Can we get it? We need a table for blah, 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 and this occasion or at this time. And they'll hook it up, and they'll send us a text back that you're done, you're taken care of. And it's wonderful. And we learn about their families. We learn about, how long they've been here, where they came from. You get to connect with people. The fun of joy to me in this life is connecting with people, finding out about them, little nuances here and there. And I took my mother to all these people, right? And when I didn't tell all of them, but a guy says, I walk into the restaurant and he goes, hey, I'm sorry, I read on Facebook that your mother had passed. And I took her there for, my gosh, every year for as long as they've been open. When she was here in April, we went at least once or twice. And the joy of it is that just sharing the love, sharing the light you have with other people. I see people sitting around in restaurants and they have this look on their face. And it's not a lost look. It's just an introspective look. They're oblivious to the person sitting left and right of them. And they're treating the person that, if they're sitting at the bar, the bartender, that person they're just there to serve them. Their mind is completely someplace else, which is okay if they're indeed thought. However, I come across people I've seen several times, and that's always the way they are. They never seek to connect with anybody around them. Never. They just kind of sit there to themselves. And they have this aura about them of, I don't want to be connected with. I don't want to connect with anybody. I just want to sit here and eat my meal. Couples will do that. And I'm like, the beautiful thing about being somewhere is understanding that there are no accidents or coincidences. That's my view. So if somebody's sitting to the left of me or the right of me, that's not a coincidence. And they're not there by accident. And when I view every connection I have with anyone in that way, it brings a certain light and presence to the moment that is, in my view, extremely loving. I don't know anything about them. I'll figure out a way to converse with them, to make them smile, to find out something interesting, to wish them well, in some way impart some sort of magic for them. I want to leave them better than the way I found them. That's generally my motto. And sometimes you make awesome friends. I've had people who've given me a number. I'm going to call you when we're next in town. And then they actually call. They're from out of town, but they come back into town and they call. Can we get together? Yeah, sure. There are, as I said earlier, many levels of friendship.
That's beautiful.
Many levels of friendship. Thank you.
And I love that you shared that Sandy is your anam cara as one of them, because
of course.
I think that when you go out, first of all, and I love that she asks you don't take for granted that you're the same person that she knew 20 years ago or 10 minutes ago. And I think that is part of being seen without judgment. You're feeling this sense of being home. You're at home. You're at home with a friend. You just feel it. And I think, as you said, when you go out into the world, that's when friendship can become communal. We learn that true friends, we're part of something much larger. It's a circle of belonging. So probably you notice the couples that don't want to be part of that because that's not who you are. There is a field when you go out. There's a field of warmth and laughter and curiosity, and you're wanting to engage with other human beings and share your humanity, whether it's with people that you see all the time or somebody that's sitting right next to you and you pull out a chair, and then that stranger becomes a friend. Pulling out that chair becomes an invitation to meet somebody with openness and kindness and recognition that I see you. You're not separate from me. You and I are connected. And I love what you share about that, because it truly makes life sweet. It's what we're here for. I think, as you were speaking, Michael, of so many times that I'll go somewhere and I'll meet somebody and it's just that instant connection, and I invite them to come visit me. And when they do, I'm ecstatic because I'm happy that I'm able to show them my city and extend some hospitality and get to know them better. My friend Grace, who I got to know through many, many years of classes, she called me up and she said, hey, I'm going to see somebody there. I think they live like 20 minutes away from you, and I'd love to see you. I said, hey, you know what? I got a better idea. Why don't you stay at my Airbnb for a few days? And it was a gift for me to be able to share that time with her. Oh, my gosh, it was wonderful.
Absolutely.
And she and I talk every few days, and she'll just check in. Are you okay? I haven't heard from you. And it just may be for 10 minutes. Okay, just checking in to make sure you're okay. Everything's good. And she's such a beautiful soul and such a giving person. If I would have gone to that class and just sat in my seat and never interacted, I would have missed out on one of the blessings of my life. So
true.
Yeah.
Because it's going through life, I should say, understanding that with the firm belief that there's no coincidence or no accident. It's a really fun way to live. I love the way how you put it, being curious and just what's next. Who's the most amazing and I can feel when someone next to me doesn't want to be connected with. I can feel that, and I literally don't. I sense it, and I just let them be. For whatever reason, they've got the I'm not in sign on their forehead. It's fine. You don't have to force yourself on people, and that's not something that I do. You just develop the skill of reading the energy of other people, facial expressions, body language, and just general overall energy that their field is putting out, right? That energy field that extends 9 feet from our body, that harbors our frequencies and our vibrations and our feelings and all of that. That energy field, for me, it's important that is as bright as it can possibly be when I step out that door. As bright as it can possibly be. It's bright inside, too, sometimes so bright that Fanny says, can you turn it down just a little bit? Yeah, okay, great. I'm trying to listen to this program, Little Corgi can pick up on it because all he wants to do is play, right? I'm going, okay.
Yeah.
But Michael, me. Yeah.
That's part of it. You embody the energy you want to receive. And that is exactly that. You are letting your light shine, and you got to smile for everyone you meet. And it's not that you don't have little obstacles that pop up during the week or the day or whatever, and you kind of go, okay, but you put that behind you. You've put it in the past, and that's where it stays, and you just keep moving forward onto this grand adventure. And it's how we become who we are. And when you embody that energy, as you said, you're appreciating the beauty in others. You're letting yourself be seen. You're inviting other people into your energy. That smile that you have is an invitation. And if people want to get to know you better, the 2-minute exchange can become a 10-minute exchange the next time they run into you. And then maybe let's get together for drinks, or let's get together for dinner, or hey, you guys, look at the people that you've met on some of the trips, and they've become friends, which is fantastic.
Yeah, insanely good friends. As a matter of fact, I need to connect with a bartender, a gentleman from Cameroon who is an engineer, believe it or not, and a bartender a couple of days a week. But really wonderful gentlemen. It's fun to get to know about people. You can't make assumptions about anyone because they're multifaceted. Everybody is multifaceted. One guy comes down twice a year, connects with me in advance. Hey, I'm coming down for a couple of days. Let's play a round of golf. And we go out, and he says, I just love to play golf with you. I love it. Your energy is so positive, and it makes me play better. I said, okay, that's cool. I don't know what his wife's name is. I don't know. He's Jamaican. So I know about, where he lives and what he's got. He's invested in real estate, and he's got a place in Jamaica, and that's all cool. I love it. That's fantastic. You're doing what you want to do. You're being your authentic self. I don't necessarily need to get involved in all that. Didn't feel that I needed to. However, it's sort of like this welcome respite of away from I'm like an island, okay, that he visits every once in a while down here on the golf course. And he's wonderful to play with. We sit there and play off each other. We both played some of the best golf we've played in a long time together. We had the same score. I mean, it was amazing that we played so well together. And I wished him well, gave him a hug, and said, let me know the next time you're down,
Yeah. divine.
It's great.
Divine synchronicity. Yeah. I had the same thing. I'm laughing because I went to a bookstore about a month ago, and there was this one really nice lady. She was looking at some of the same books, and she said, "Man, you're right." I said, "Absolutely not. I can totally look around you." And then we got into a conversation, and next thing I know is I was sharing some different things with her and gave her some tips, and I said, "Well, here's card to our podcast." And when, last week, I ran into her in the same bookstore in the same aisle. And that, I don't believe, is an accident. And I said, "How are you doing?" I mean, what are the odds? I mean, it's not even close to my house. That's the interesting thing. So I have to drive about a half an hour to get to this particular bookstore. But I would say that is angelic intervention. And I have another gentleman who stayed at my Airbnb, and he's from Brazil. And unbeknownst to me, the previous guest had turned off the heat, and so the pipes froze. It happened to be in the winter, and he was in the kitchen, and when everything started to thaw out, it came raining into the kitchen. And he was understanding and just the nicest. Oh, he was so patient, and actually it was so interesting because the field of his occupation, he was offering all these solutions. So he said, "Oh, I deal with that all the time in these industries that I go into, and you should get this product and this product." And, I went out to dinner several times. Every time that he's in town, we've gone out and gotten together, and we keep in touch over the channels of communication. And just what a wonderful accident, an accidental connection of friendship. And he'll say to me when I message him, he said, "I was just thinking about you, and here you messaged me." He said, "How do we do that?" I said, "Because we're part of the same soul family. We're part of the same tribe, and you're my friend."
Yep.
And that's exactly how it works. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be like there doesn't have to be this major depth all the time. And that, like I said, that's about anywhere between 1 to 4 or 5 people that you may know. But really the solid relationships that last a really long time are generally a couple people, 2 or 3 people. That's it. That you have, they know you, you know them. And to be able to get to the depth of a soul friend who you can actually say anything to and be anything with. A lot of people, like I said, the judgment is really huge with a lot of people. I know in my early days, 30, 40, 50 years ago, I was concerned about how I looked and where I went and what I did. And over time, I shed all that skin, it's just all those layers, and said, I know who I am, and I'm just gonna be me. And I don't expect anybody who wants me to be somebody different. That's not meant to be a friendship. It's not a friendship to begin with, because they're trying to control and manipulate. And that's not my problem. It's their problem. It's their challenge in life to get over, because they're reflecting, pushing on me what they feel about themselves. And that's generally it. You attract what you're focused on, where you place your attention. That's what your future reality is going to reflect. And so, interestingly enough, I was at urgent care today, dealing with I stuck my index finger in the mouth of my corgi to get a toy, and he lurched forward and then pulled back and sliced my finger with his little incisor. And he was like so sorry about it. I said, "Oh, play's over. I'm bleeding." He looked at me, gave me this really crazy, quizzical look, and then he went off like he did something wrong. And I said, No, you didn't do anything wrong. Put the mice on it, wrapped it up, and he said, "You didn't do anything wrong." But I had to go to urgent care today because I needed something a little more serious, just something shy of stitches, but because I couldn't get it to stop bleeding overnight. But I had a friend who called me on the way there. He'd been trying to reach me for a day or so, and he said, "Al, sorry about your mom." I said, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm crying." And I said, "Wow, what can I say?" He said, "Yeah, your mom was so sweet. We used to talk for hours. She loved me, and she told me so." And I'm like, I'm always learning new things about my mom now that she's gone. I've learned a few things from people, stories I never knew, things she did that I never knew about. Of course, there's probably tons of them, because she was 97, and I didn't live with her, but 4 years in the last 50. So it's and I said, wow. Conversely, I live in a state of happiness, man. I'm happy. I'm in a state of gratitude. I was in a state of gratitude about 4 hours after my mother passed, and I was sitting at a bar with my girlfriend talking to some newfound friends, and we were just sitting there reminiscing about my mom, and I said, I'm so grateful. I got joy all throughout me. I know she's awesome. I know that she was met by just throngs of people who, hey, you're back. How was it? 97 years, that's a long time. Yeah. But I it's almost as if I don't identify with the sadness aspect of it. It's we're going to bury her on the 20th of next month, so she wanted a very short burial and a big party, and so we're going to make that happen. However, and I'll probably have some thoughts about her not, as she's my friend too, by the way. She was my soul friend as well as my mother. Mm-hmm. And mothers can be that way. I could talk to her about anything and sit down with her, and she would listen thoughtfully. And if she was meant to have an exchange, she would have it. If not, she just let me talk out whatever it was that I was talking out. Divorce number 1, marriage number 2, then divorce number 2. I talked about all of it with her. Why I was doing whatever it was, and I just had to come to, it was amazing. We were in her house when my girlfriend had passed when she was 25, almost exactly to the day of the previous year, almost died in our living room. So she was a very wonderful, loving and joyous woman who loved to dance and loved to sing, mainly dance. That was what she wanted to do. She loved it. So we always went to a lot of concerts, a lot of shows. We went to plays. We engaged. I attempted to do everything I possibly could to, and my sister picked up the mantle, and my brother as well, to do that. But I just, as I think of her as my soul friend. I really do. Mm-hmm. We should think, because they are playing a role in our lives, and we're not really privy to exactly what that role is. They're playing a role in our lives, and we're still playing a role in theirs. And because I don't know what my mother's mission was here. I hope to find out someday. I know I will. However, I know her mission with me was a rousing success, and with my brother and my sister and anybody she ever met. Throngs of people here living that just to have that sort of life, to have an existence. And she had her fair share of downside, a fair share of despair and other stuff. And she was able to shake it off and move forward and embrace the good things in life and let go of the bad things in life, the things that didn't work out so well. She was able to do that, and she was gracious to my father's end, I know, and they were separated at the time. And she was gracious to everyone that she ever met, and people noticed something, like this friend of mine. Just, wow, I'm sitting here, it's almost 3 weeks later, and I told him, I said, man, I feel really good. I'm sorry. The sadness was gone about a couple hours after I heard. I just quickly shifted my reality, and it made me realize one thing, that there are times in our lives when we connect with someone so on a level that we don't connect with other people who are around us all the time. Okay, this person is outside our sphere of influence, and we feel vulnerable, and we can talk with them, and we can be truthful and honest and be ourselves with that person who's outside of our sphere of influence. Let me give you a little example, if I can. In high school growing up, I was the guy who, the girls sitting next to me in class who I had no idea what their name was, would start talking to me about their boyfriend and what was going on and why wouldn't he do this or why wouldn't he do that. And I learned more than I really wanted to know at the time about someone's relationship, someone I didn't know. I was always that person women came to for advice. And I'm like, what is it? What is it? Why are they coming over here and telling me how they're feeling about these things and how can they move forward? And I'm like, and I would give them my honest opinion of what I was feeling at the time, what I was seeing at the time, and in some way impart something positive to them, let them know that perhaps they were better than this situation, that they had to wake up and understand that this person wasn't really treating them with love and dignity and kindness, and that I didn't know at the time the concept that we attracted what we were feeling about ourselves and what we were focused on. That didn't occur to me. It was just people would come to me, and before I know it, they're telling me things that perfect strangers, just unloading. And then they'd say, I don't even talk to my husband like this. Really? and it's true, though. But I said, your secret, your conversation, this conversation doesn't leave us. It's fine. I don't know who her husband is, but if I met him, this wouldn't be. They just talk about things, and I was always grateful that I could be in some way of service to help settle their mind. If that's what occurred, I didn't really place a lot of purpose on it. I just was there to listen, and it's always been that way since high school. So there's a lot of different ways that you can have friends, even for a moment or two.
Oh, I totally understand, because I'm chuckling because you and I are definitely mirrors for each other, because I had the same experiences growing up, and I still have those same experiences, whether it be with people that I just meet or whatever. I just think that people feel you. And again, I think that's part of the genius of friendship. Because, Michael, when you were speaking about your mom, all I could think about was that love. Love. That love that we share with our family and friends, it transcends all conventions. Time, space, and even death itself cannot separate the bond of the soul connection, part of which is the recognition of that soul. And I think when you're speaking about those people sharing intimate details, they recognize your spirit. And that's what makes us part of this much larger community. It's a web of love. They see who you are. They recognize the love in your heart. They know you on a soul level. I know for many people that may sound strange, but we all have that opportunity to be a friend to somebody else. But in doing so, to become a true friend, we have to be a friend to ourselves, to others, to life, and awaken and remember that we are here in a community to belong, that beautiful web of love. And I think that is the genius of friendship, to see the light in others, read who they are in their hearts, and always know that we're never alone.
Sure. Yeah. Be a friend to yourself first. Look in the mirror. Meet yourself. And start taking action to recognize who you are. Your wonder, your beauty, your gifts, your talents. Start a relationship with yourself. That's what I tell people who are alone and want a relationship. I say, well, this is an opportunity for you to start a relationship with yourself, or expand on the relationship with yourself, and become your own best friend. And then don't sacrifice. Don't settle. When you love yourself and you've got that awesome relationship rolling, and someone happens to come into your life that happens to be the antithesis of that, recognize that this may be just the perfect opportunity to say no, and just wait, because the person who resonates with you authentically is going to enter your sphere. Just watch out for them. Be aware.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael, for all that you bring to this world, and for being such a beautiful soul friend to me. And I would encourage any of our community members to share this episode if it resonates with you, because in sharing it, you may come home to your soul. And it only takes a moment to reach out, to appreciate, to simply be present with someone, because friendship might be just one of the most powerful ways we come alive and we connect to love. So
yes,
until next time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Peace out. Thank you.